Welcome back to the Hood and East Fantasy Football Podcast. This is the Week 12 Midweek Report. I got my dogs with me here, MFB.
Yes, sir.
And BBTV. And we're going to do another midweek update where we go over topics that you probably have questions about, or you might not, but things that may be of concern to you. Let's get started with the Jets firing their general manager, Joe Douglas, and the effect that should have.
What's new in the Jets world, bro? They cleaning house, firing him, firing that guy. Man, like, they still suck.
Ever since
can't win games. I don't know what's wrong with them.
As soon as they fired Robert Saleh, it was downhill from there.
Yeah. It probably got worse after that firing.
100%.
It wasn't that bad when he was coaching,
exactly.
And then it got worse.
Yeah, bro, they fired him, and then it just has not gotten better. Like, it's only gone downhill. That was like the turning point.
Also, interesting that you mentioned, because with Saleh, right? Like we said, defensive-minded coach, right?
Yeah.
The Jets defense were like a tough opponent versus QBs. After the firing, they've become like an easy opponent now. A much softer matchup for QBs. I think they've given up a lot of, I think 4 or 5 like top QB weekly performances since then. So not looking good for their defense.
I was about to say,
and that might be
like offensively though. Like, do you guys feel like it's just not on the coaches and now it's just more on the players? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't.
I mean, you can Aaron
say
Rodgers, Devontae, Wilson, Brees. They all can't produce.
You're asking the right question. You're telling me that none of these guys are able to get the ball moving? Like, none of them? I mean, it starts with Aaron Rodgers, right? But you're telling me that he can't find anyone at all? And he just suddenly became terrible? Even when they brought in Devontae Adams, like, they brought in someone that he has history with. They have a rapport together, you know what I mean? Yes, it's a different playbook in New York there, but I just think that the coaches have an effect, whether they're not getting the right plays, the play calling is just not good, whatever it is. I do think it starts with the coaches, because you've seen like teams that, for example, we saw the Chargers. I mean, when we were talking in preseason about the Chargers, we weren't like, oh, the Chargers, great team. You want pieces of that offense. We were like, Quinn Johnston drops everything. They got some rookie lads,
like random no-name guys at the time.
Exactly. They brought in Jim Harbaugh, and he turned the team around. Now, like, they're top team. Like, they're
now we talking
winning games.
As a team.
Bro, yeah. Now
Will Dissly triggering people out there.
Bro, I mean, people you're talking about now. All pieces on the offense, even Will Dissly is producing. Yeah. It's like, bro, in preseason,
that's a great point. Coaching and the whole coaching tree.
It can have an effect, and that's not to say that and that's not to say that Justin Herbert was like a bad quarterback and he made him good. He's a good quarterback. We're like, it's just he wasn't doing a lot last year with the weapons he had. Mike Williams got injured. Keenan Allen was there, also kind of injured through the year. Quinn Johnson, the rookie, kept dropping passes. They got the coach. Coach came in and has turned that team around. Like, in a good way. So yeah, I don't really know if I chalk it up to the players just suck per se. I really do think that the way that the organization's run, who knows what's happening behind the scenes even. You know, we're only seeing what they tell us, right? But we don't know what's going on.
I feel like, man, so I mean, they're on bye this week, so maybe they got a week to clean some shit up.
Yeah.
But bro, like, they're sitting at 3-8, right? I don't know who has the tiebreaker, them or the Pats, but they're down there with the Pats, and it's a climb up to the Bills, right?
Yeah,
I could see some even wilder, weirder shit going on in like 2 or 3 more weeks. That kind of just like throws fantasy in kind of a blender with something. I don't know what it is exactly, but something with the variables of like them being dead last in the division.
Yeah.
No coach anymore, no GM, whatever else is gonna happen. I think I'd be kind of scared-ish if I had like Jets players on my team.
I think the biggest fear for me would be that they would just not run Brees and start running the backup Braylon Allen more and giving him more touches.
That would kill my season.
Yeah, I'm saying like
That's what I'm saying, bro. It's like shit's gonna happen. It's gonna kind of shake things up.
We don't know right now. The way the Jets are looking, I don't remember if we talked about trading away Jets players, but it may have been a good idea to have traded away Jets players.
Probably.
Now that we look at it, you just don't want that uncertainty with the team. You want a team. I mean, we talked about teams where players, like teams they're going for that playoff push. They're going for the top of their division. You want pieces from those offenses that are doing whatever it takes to win, to be able to get into the playoffs. So
I think
Jets are not.
There's another. I think there might be a stat where if the Jets lose another game, I think they're out of playoff contention.
Like it's impossible for them to make.
If it's something
playoffs?
if it's something like let's see, week 12. If the Bills, well, they're both on bye this week. If probably the Bills win one more and become 10-2, and the Jets are 3-9, then you don't even have enough weeks to even catch up. Mathematically,
but also
but even for wild card,
I'm talking about the wild card.
Yeah. Oh, probably even for wild card. Yeah.
Yeah. So
who knows? Yeah. Well, let's move on from off the Jets. Enough about them. That team is real quick. Would you rather have Jets players like Devontae Adams or Garrett Wilson, or players from the Giants like Neighbors? Like which team is
Jets
more?
Players probably.
Okay, I'm just saying like teams that are just going downhill.
That's the most like it's just trash and trash.
Yeah. That's also kind of true. But if I had to choose, probably Jets maybe.
Okay, we'll talk about the Giants soon.
But
let's talk about the Eagles and how they've really stepped things up on the defensive side of things.
Yeah, they've been going nuts with the defense, bro. Pretty much like a flip to the Jets, right? Eagles started off as like a mid defense. You could start players against them.
Yeah.
But now, bro, they've been performing. They're the second toughest versus quarterbacks. They are the sixth toughest versus running backs. And they are the number one top toughest versus wide receivers. And they're the fourth toughest versus tight ends.
Brother, it's San Quentin Island, bruh. This man is having the craziest rookie season. Like, it's crazy. Like, they're comparing it to Sauce Gardner. They're comparing it to he's having a solid season. I feel like he just stepped it up.
It really sucks if you have Eagles players as a fantasy owner. Maybe Saquon's probably the shining star. Like Saquon, it's unlikely that he'll have a bad game.
Yeah.
And if he does have a bad game, it's like 12 fantasy points, which is still
reasonable,
serviceable, still solid, right? At the beginning of the season, they were a bad defense. You target Eagles defense whenever you play your players against the Eagles. They're going to perform, you know what I mean? And it was really good for the Eagles offense because they had to keep up, right? It's going back and forth. It ends up a good situation for the offensive players. But now once they're up, they just hand the ball to Saquon and they don't really need to move the ball up the field. It's not so good for players like Devonta Smith, AJ Brown, Goddard. Those guys, they end up kind of being the losers in that situation.
Personally, I'm panicking on Devonta Smith. I'm being honest. If you're a Devonta Smith owner, I'd probably choose different options. Hopefully you picked up a good waiver wire player. Hopefully, I don't even know.
Well, is Devonta, let's talk about it. Is Devonta Smith now matchup dependent? Like, are you looking for teams that are going to score on the Eagles?
I think so.
To play Devonta Smith?
I think so.
Because this week they're playing the Rams. I think the Rams score. That's what I was going to say Devonta Smith, sit him this week.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Rams score. And we talked about the too high safety with the Rams defense. I think Devonta Smith can get in there.
But the Rams have played a little bit better defense lately, ever since Puka and Papa's
the Rams. The Rams offense has been they've been cool. They've been solid. I think no matter what, it's a tough matchup. Like, I don't see Cup or Puka getting 25 plus.
Me neither.
but they'll still do okay.
Yeah.
It's either going to be Devonta or AJ Brown eating, and then Saquon for sure probably eating. It might be a possible shootout, maybe a lot of throwing. We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's going to be.
Eventually, the Eagles throwing has to level out at some point, unless the defense is really playing that crazy.
I feel like if the Eagles want to win that, I feel like Jalen Hurts has to use his legs. I think that's pretty.
I think yeah. I think Jalen Hurts needs to use his legs more in general. But I mean, did you guys see him after the Thursday night game against Washington? The after game, he did like an interview. No, the interview. I don't know what they were asking him a question, and the way he was responding, they're like, "Yeah, this guy's still concussed, bro," because he had a concussion in that game, or like a close concussion, like scare in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were like, "Yeah, this man's still concussed," but that's kind of like the way off to rushing. You run the risk of injury more if you run out there and you hit into a player or do something. I mean, what we've seen with Tua, like what happened to him, you have it's a risk, But I think these next 2 weeks are going to be good matchups for them. I think that the other teams will be able to score. Rams just have too many weapons. Baltimore has, Lamar Jackson. So they will, the weeks after that, Carolina, Pittsburgh, Washington again.
Yeah.
Those ones might be.
I like the Pittsburgh and the Washington. Dallas, not so much, but they always dog on Dallas, like by hella points. So, dude, I don't know. Their playoff schedule could be solid because their defenses are solid. So that means that the offense has to produce in a way, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, but if the offenses on the other team don't produce, then the Eagles don't have to run their offense out there. Especially since the Eagles defense has been so good, it's going to be harder for teams to produce against them. But a couple of divisional matchups during the fantasy playoffs. So you're probably going to be okay there. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
On to the next topic here, which we probably should have talked about. We talked about the Jets, but Tommy DeVito is the starter for the Giants. So I made that mistake like 3 times. I called him Danny DeVito. Yeah, the Italian man. But they're starting him. Daniel Jones has been benched, man. And obviously it's because Daniel Jones sucks, right? But it's because the Giants now are in full draft mode. They're trying to tank games. They're trying to lose. So this is not good for Giants offense.
Well, I was going to say, Tommy DeVito was slinging it last year when Daniel Jones was hurt. He didn't have no neighbors on that team or Tyron Tracy on that team or the left tackle that they drafted, something Neal. Forgot his name, but I'm just saying, if Tommy DeVito has somewhat better players than he had last year, could be beneficial for the Giants players that you guys have or whoever has Giants players. So I don't know. I'm not worried. I should say.
That's kind of I'm worried. I have Giants players. I'm worried. I'm not, bro. When you put in the third string and you're in full tank mode, that's never a good sign for your fantasy players. Yes, they can produce, but I'm not comfortable. I'm for sure worried.
But it's not a great sign. But I don't know. I think fantasy wise, they can still somewhat produce. Not as great as with Daniel Jones, but maybe I don't know, not as bad as Daniel Jones' floor was either, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think they also said they're going to lean on the run, apparently. So
that's true.
Who knows how much of that is coach talk, but Tyron Tracy probably will see the ball more and have a lot more screenplays. So that helps a little bit. We'll see what they cook up for neighbors. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that the games where I'm less worried about are games where they're for sure going to be behind by a lot. For example, Tampa Bay this week, I think Tampa Bay will score plenty on them. So
yeah,
they can sling, like Tommy DeVito can sling the ball and, Tyron Tracy can get working on the ground. They're still going to lose. And that's all they care about. As long as they lose the game, they're fine with it. Even if the players go off, they don't care. That they're just trying to lose games. Dallas will be an interesting one because both quarterbacks suck. Saints, the Saints, Taysom Hill going crazy. they for sure will lose that game. Baltimore's a great matchup in that they will be like, it'll probably be over by halftime. And so Tommy DeVito just slinging it could be good for Neighbors. Same with the Falcons, but yeah, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what it does or how it looks this week. Who knows, man? Tommy DeVito might be out there playing for a better contract next year. Hey, go crazy.
I'll be honest.
Out there and just show out.
That's literally what I think. I think there's all of those guys on that team are trying to play for a better contract. Like Tyron Tracy, like who? You know what I'm saying? That man's probably trying to get paid next year. Obviously, Tommy DeVito's probably trying to stay on that team or try to be a player for, I don't even know, for a different team, and same as the other guys. So I don't know. I feel like they'll still be playing.
I mean, bro, if Tommy DeVito goes out there and plays lights out, you think the Dolphins go and get him? Like, hey, we need a backup in case Tua gets injured.
Probably not.
Someone better than Skylar Thompson or whoever.
But yeah, maybe.
If he can throw the ball
in the off season, maybe QBs, especially those like second, third string QBs, always have to like perform and look good.
Yeah,
because they know, they need to be employed, bro. So
yeah,
they gotta perform all the time, any game, every snap.
it
doesn't matter. So
I mean, yeah, this week will be telling. It's a good matchup against Tampa. Like they can get some air yards, but we'll have to wait and see and see the effect. Maybe he has a good connection with some of the other guys, Wan'Dale Robinson or Slayton. So hoping that the ball gets to Neighbors more. Maybe him and Neighbors have a connection, and that would be good for him for fantasy. But they're looking to lose games.
Mm-hmm.
On to the next topic. Shane Waldron,
who
in Chicago?
Oh,
Chicago. Man.
Well, they fired him, right? So
yeah,
we saw the first week with the new OC. Pretty much the only main thing that I could really pinpoint is, for whatever reason, Shane Waldron loved Gerald Everett. Like Gerald Everett would be running hella routes out there. The Chicago tight end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But like now this game, there was no sign of Gerald Everett. It was just all Cole Kmet out there. So
still didn't do anything.
If those few fantasy managers running Kmet, they could probably be pretty happy because now their boy's out there solo dolo, not sharing any snaps. But that's really the only main thing I saw. Chicago still, I don't know. They kind of like got gapped from like the midweek. It was a close race in the NFC North. Now they're last 4-6. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. But they still got they got Vikings, they got Lions. We mentioned their schedule before. It's crazy.
Yeah.
They got Niners.
Right away.
They're on a 4-game L streak. 4 L's in a row. Caleb Williams has thrown 0 touchdowns and 0 interceptions since the bye.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, do you think, is that a sign that he's like playing scared? Like just not slinging it? Just not trying to, you know what I mean? If you're not throwing, it's one thing
because he was slinging it, but he was just slinging it very terribly.
Yeah. No, but I'm saying well, think about it this way. Like if you're scared to throw an interception, you'd rather overthrow the ball to make sure it doesn't get intercepted, or just throw it a little bit more out of reach, just because you don't want an interception, right? Like that's just, in my opinion.
Oh, you feel like he's not?
That's playing scared. He's not. Yeah, he's like, or no, he's not. Yeah, he's not trying to get it like on dime, like perfect pass. Yeah. If he does that, whether it's like he's putting his players at risk for getting concussed, like we've seen other quarterbacks do, or you run the risk of it getting intercepted and things like that. Maybe he's just playing scared. And that's just something that with the new offensive coordinator, maybe they can correct that. I don't know. But his matchups upcoming are kind of tough. Minnesota, we saw them shut down Joe Flacco on primetime. Mm-hmm. And then Detroit, tough matchup. SF has, not been as good. I saw a stat about Fred Warner. He had through the first 3 games or through the first 6 games of the season, he had 9 interceptions or something crazy like that. Or I have to look back at the stat, but he hasn't been doing so well on SF. So we'll have to kind of see how that plays out in the next few weeks. Then they have Minnesota again, Detroit again. So they play Minnesota and Detroit twice in the next 5 weeks.
Both tough matchups.
Yeah. So that the OC is going to have to kind of I don't know, write up some plays, make him some plays for him and get him going, hopefully.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think you just
Probably just gonna say this long story short, just don't play Chicago players for the rest of the season if you're trying to be on the safe side.
rest of the season. Some people, I mean, you have players like, the rookie Odunze's been okay.
Yeah,
I think
he did okay last week.
I feel like that's his favorite
I
target.
mean, if you got to
Williams.
start a Bears player, for sure, start him. But if you have another option, I'll probably go with the other option. Just because of the defense.
What about DJ Moore? You bench him every week?
I mean,
with bye weeks, it's tough, man. This week is a lot of teams on bye. You probably have to start
I
him.
probably would start DJ Moore this week because of the buys. Just because of the buys. That's pretty much it.
Next week, I think there's no buys, so you bench DJ Moore if you can.
If you have a solid backup receiver like a Josh Downs, who else? Like a Jawan Jennings, obviously. Like a Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's enough about the Bears. Let's move on to the Broncos with their running backs. What's going on? MFB, the Bronco expert, please analyze.
Sorry to everybody who flew to add Audric Estime and then was disappointed. But it looks like they're gonna ride the hot hand, bro. Like Javonte outsnapped Audric Estime 32-14. So kind of pump faked everybody. Like we mentioned last week, Sean Payton's very 50-50 on whether he says, "Oh, this guy's getting the work, that guy's getting the work." You just never know with them. You really don't.
I think
probably seeing Javonte going forward until something else happens.
But I feel like a few weeks ago we were talking about coaches trying to say something like that just to throw a curveball for the other defenses. So they try to mimic the play style of that kind of person, like that defensive person.
Some coaches, yeah, but some coaches are known to be reliable with their info.
Dan Campbell, all reliable.
Dan Campbell, right? Yeah, he don't really cap
straight
a lot.
Shooter.
Sean Payton, he's literally you can't read him with this shit. It's just it might be true, it might not be true.
Yeah,
I'm nervous to start Javonte, just because I feel like it.
Really?
Yeah.
No. In general, general. Well, yeah, even this week, yeah. I'm nervous to start him any week, just because
the Broncos,
the Raiders. But yeah,
no.
I'm just nervous because at any point they could just switch gears and be like, "Oh, Estime, you get all the carries." You know what I mean? We saw that against Kansas City, which may have just been that game, and we've only seen it that game really. But they are getting him involved, and it looked like they want to get him involved. He's getting 14 snaps to Javonte's 32 last week, which is still a decent amount. It's not like it's mostly Javonte and Estime's getting the third down kind of snaps and things like that. It's just a mixed bag.
Yeah.
In my opinion, if Javonte, he's had, I think, a couple of fumbles this season. I think he's on 2. But if he fumbles again, what if they're just you can just sit this game. You're good. Estime, you go ahead. You know what I mean? That's a possibility.
But I'd rather take the risk on running Javonte just because Javonte has proven himself to be solid against the Raiders. This year, played him earlier. He was decent. A few years back.
Yeah, okay. I think this week I'm not hesitating on Javonte, but I am looking at it on a week-by-week basis.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, they don't have really good matchups upcoming outside of this one. So Vegas is a good matchup. They play Cleveland bye week.
Cleveland bye week.
Colts, Chargers, Bengals. Which Chargers and Bengals last 2 weeks. Hopefully you have someone else if you in your fantasy playoffs, because those are not good matchups. Last time the Chargers shut him down completely. He had 23 yards on the ground, 13 through the air. So yeah, not very good. But yeah, I think if you have another option at RB, this is a tough week with bye weeks. If you have another option at RB, I think you. I guess because of the matchup, you can run him this week. But yeah, the next few weeks are going to be tough, especially because they have a bye week 14. So look for someone to start that week. That's it on the RBs in Denver. Bo Nix has been great, so that's cool. Like him, he's been really good. His schedule upcoming is nice. Just to shout him out.
Rest of the season.
Bo Nix is Yeah, he's been really solid overall.
Yeah, he's a stud, man. He's in the conversation for offensive rookie of the year right now.
Yeah,
with Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, we talked about him in the last episode in the Studs and Duds that we did, that we had to forfeit because BBTV technical difficulties ruined it. Thank you very much, BBTV.
Mm-hmm.
Shouts out. We talked a lot about Bo Nix, but we talked a lot about Bo Nix. But anyways, you guys will never hear about it. But he's the rest of the season pretty much. He's a solid start rest of the season, streaming weekly. On to the next topic. Rico Dowdle has been announced as a lead back. So
yeah, well, he
on
was
to the next topic.
Yeah,
and then he was announced that last week before the game, and then we saw the game, and it was kind of interesting game, but it was terrible, overall. And he didn't do much, and it didn't really mean anything. So, I mean, I didn't put any chips in any league this year in Dallas backfield, and I'm not mad about that. I'm pretty happy with my decision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't know, their offense doesn't get moving. They're always going to be a negative game script. It doesn't help Rico Dowdle, right?
Yeah.
So, they're almost down there with the Giants in their standings, right? And the Eagles have 8 wins. The Commanders have 7. Like, they're just kind of out the picture.
Yeah.
That's true. But I was just about to say, he could be a really decent player to start during the fantasy playoff week.
I was gonna say,
Carolina. I feel like they could put up a good fight against Carolina with their defense.
Carolina for sure. Yeah, start every RB against Carolina.
Then you got Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay defense has not been doing good at all. So they could do damage. Obviously, don't play them against Philly, but 2 weeks though, that's huge.
Yeah. How about the Giants in 2 weeks? This week they got Washington. I would be looking not to start them this week.
No,
against Washington.
But Giants
in Washington.
Yeah, I'd probably do Giants.
Giants will be decent. Giants will be probably decent to have.
So he's just kind of
there's some decent matchups for sure.
He's a matchup dependent back. And then Philadelphia week 17. No, do not start him at all. That is a terrible idea. But maybe depending on if Tampa Bay, because if Tampa Bay's defense has not been very good, but the Cowboys' offense is not really moving, so that one could be interesting.
That could be a game, like he's game scripted out.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the other factor, like you kind of got to think about.
Yeah. Anyways, we'll talk more about that when we get closer to that week. On to the next topic. Brock Purdy, who's been playing better.
He's a dog.
He kind of
relax.
How do I explain this? Okay, relax.
Then why don't you give me Jalen Hurts and just ride with
him, bro? But anyway,
all right, listen. We said, bro, it's like a weird year to trade QBs because there's a lot of QBs that came out the woodwork and are raw.
Bo Nix.
Yeah, but like Brock Purdy last year, crazy touchdown rate, right? And crazy passing overall. This year, his passing regressed, right? Last year, he did not scramble ever. This year, though, he been scrambling, bro.
Yeah.
He got a 10% scramble rate. Last year it was at 4%, which is pretty much been pretty much saving his fantasy value, I'll say. He's having 5.1 rush attempts per game. So it's definitely helping him, and I feel like it's overall kind of helping the Niners. We'll see what happens with C-Mac kind of really back in the mix. And when they have the healthy lineup of Kittle, C-Mac, Debo, right? Jawan Jennings now, Ricky. So
yeah,
I think
we'll see if he's still be scrambling, but his scrambling got a lot better.
Yeah,
I think C-Mac helps him with him being there. If he could dump off to C-Mac and he scores, I think C-Mac being there helps him. It helps open up the passing game too. If he can do damage on the ground, then teams have to account for that, and then they can get moving in the air because they have a lot of weapons.
Yeah.
Jawan Jennings really stepped up. Debo has been okay, but Kittle has been one of the best tight ends this year.
Kittle's a top tight end.
Yeah. So I think C-Mac helps his value, but the scrambling is definitely good too.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, I just feel like he's just a hella Purdy, man. I don't know.
You really like him a lot because you have him on your team and you've been trying to sell him for the last
I have
6
Jalen
weeks.
hurt, and I have a guy that's doing solid on my bench. It annoys me. Let me try to get a better.
That's what you get for trading. You should trade for someone else. You should have let me get Jalen Hurts in that league.
Whoa, yo, emotions. Deshaun Watson all over again.
It is emotional, but I can be emotional. I'm allowed to be. I would have had the triple dip in that league. I have AJ Brown and Saquon. So if I had Jalen Hurts, I complete the trifecta, like the entire Eagles offense. No points get scored without me getting something out of it.
That's true.
But unless Kenneth Gainwell runs in for some reason, gets a touchdown, that'd be annoying. But yeah, he's been good. He's playing better. I think Christian McCaffrey being back helps his value. But we'll see. He's only been back for 2 games. And I feel like they're slowly working him back in. He's not fully ramped up, and he doesn't look 100% like he did last year.
They have to go full throttle. That division is the closest in the NFL. Like, that's a neck and neck division.
They lost last week, so that's tough.
I think it's all within a half a game, right? Or like a full game?
But it's Cardinals at 6 wins, every other team at 5 wins.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, blows my mind.
Arizona
to go full
Cardinals.
Use every
Marvin Harrison,
every weapon.
Kyler Murray.
Yeah,
they're winning that division.
Trey McBrizzle.
My boy, my dog. I need him to get. Let's jump into a side topic really quick about Trey McBride. He has no receiving touchdowns this year. Receiving touchdowns. He had a run. He got stopped at the 1 in one game, and the coach designed a run play for him, and he ran it in. He on the outside barely got in, but James Conner fumbled in the end zone. He jumped on it.
I watched that.
Yeah. But he has not received a touchdown yet this season. And to be honest, I drafted him. I tried to draft him in my leagues. I only got him, I think, in 1, maybe 2 leagues. But either way, I targeted him because he was an end zone threat last year. Towards the end of the season with Kyler Murray, he was getting in the end zone, and often, like each game, he had a touchdown.
Yeah, but they had no receivers last year, though, too.
That's true. Yeah, but they had Michael Wilson. I guess he was a rookie last year, but still, that with Marvin Harrison being there, it does obviously take targets away from him. But to go from a touchdown almost every week with Kyler Murray to now we're just gonna not throw you a touchdown. It's why you fade the tight end, right, BBTV?
Always fade the tight end.
Now we've learned our lesson. We've said it enough times this season. But that'll do it for the midweek report. Not too much going on. A lot of teams on bye, so not much to go over. Hopefully next week we'll have more topics for you. I think there's 0 teams on bye, but we'll discuss things. Put comments on the video, guys, or reach out to us in the Discord. Discord is also in the description below. Join the Discord. Ask us questions. Ask us things. Hey, guys, tell us, can you guys talk about this team? Or can you talk about this topic? Or what do I do with this player? Or with this QB situation? Whatever. Give us topics that you want to hear about. If there's something you want us to explain more or go in depth, let us know. We'll talk about it on the podcast and you can hear about it.
Yeah.
But we don't know what to talk about if you don't tell us what you want to hear. So let us know. Put it in the comments, join the Discord, let us know, and we'll hopefully be able to talk about it in the next episode. But that'll do it for this episode. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.